Okay. And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Real Talks. I'm your host, David Steele. Um, Today is a big day, and today is going to be our prediction. So we brought back our good friend here, Matthew Anderson. How are we doing, Matthew?
I'm doing fine, which is very scary because usually my brain's being
Is your brain
turned to
fried
mush
yet?
like everyone else. Not yet. I will say it's very scary how like I was last year. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm okay with these predictions, but yeah, some
Yes.
seems off, especially with everyone else around the world on Twitter is like they're all freaking out. The whole world's burning. They're running around like maniacs, and I'm like, I'm okay with where I'm at.
The world's gonna
So we'll see what
end.
happens.
No, yeah, no. So, anyways, we are here with our he's heavily I say this every time we have him on. He does his homework. What year was it that you got 12 out of the 14? It was
So
like
it
4 or
wasn't
5
12, it
years
was
ago?
14. No. So
Yeah,
let
backtrack
me
a little bit.
yeah, I'll backtrack a little. So last year, I'm glad you brought this record up. So the highest I ever got for predictions right was last year. It was 21 out of 23 categories. The only thing I got wrong was original screenplay and animated short. I can tell you right now, I am not expecting that again to happen this year. I got lucky last year. It helped me out in the long run because I got practically like most of the categories, like boom, boom, boom. I know what's going to win here, like prior to nominations. And then when the nominations came out, I'm like, okay, now I just need to wait for the guilds and wait for the precursors and all that stuff to come out. So last year's a little bit easier because we had some sweeps. This year we don't. We don't have many sweeps except for a couple of categories we're going to get into, but I guarantee you that, like everyone, we're probably going to get a majority of them wrong. However, I'm pretty sure we know who director and picture are going to go to, but
Yeah, I
we'll
mean,
get to that
those
down the
are
road. Those are
locks.
like okay, they're happening. They're probably going to happen.
I don't
You
like the
know,
word lock, but there's a pretty good idea who picture and director and all these are gonna be going to, and we're gonna get to those a little bit later on. We are
yeah.
gonna start.
You
Go
might as
ahead.
well just open the show with just picture and director and just say, "Here's your picture winner. Here's your director
Yeah,
winner."
okay,
Okay, now
so,
let's get to the other categories.
let's get the obvious out of the way. Um, Everything Everywhere All at Once is just gonna if this doesn't win Best Picture, I use it kiddingly, there needs to be an investigation. There have
It'll
been
be very shocking.
Yeah, I mean, I I I can't see how they don't award this to Everything
Yeah.
Everywhere All at Once. That being said, this is a chance. If everything goes my predictions go as planned, this will be the first time since 1992 that we've had 4 out of the 5 Big 5 winners, because the way I'm predicting it and how it's gonna go and everything else. So, which would be remarkable, and we still haven't
Yeah.
had a Big 5 winner in 30 some odd years. So, nonetheless, I'm predicting Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I imagine you are too, Matthew?
For Best Picture, yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
to bring up some things real quick. It managed to win the Producers Guild of America, which has a similar voting system as the Oscars. And like Nomadland and Coda, their PGA wins prove that they could win on a preferential balloting. The only film to win the PGA prize, the Directors Guild Award, and the Screen Actors Guild Ensemble Prize, and not win Best Picture was Apollo 13. But it made sense because Ron Howard was nominated for director that year, and Braveheart was waiting in the wings for that directing win because it won Golden Globe and Critics' Choice of the Year, but that was different. And also it wasn't like they literally just started their SAG Ensemble Prize that same year, so yeah. And then unlike the other nominees, Everything Ever All at Once is a film that has the underdog narrative. It's a crowd pleaser and it has something to say.
Yeah.
So I would be
So,
very shocked if this doesn't win picture.
um, let's kinda save a couple of the other ones for a little bit later.
Sure.
Let's start with, we're gonna start with some of these that and I always said this, and I think he agrees with me. These under the line categories are so incredibly vital and important to how a movie is made that they need to get the recognition that they have. So let's start with best production design. Okay, best
Oh
production design.
boy.
As you can see the nominees there. Um, I'm curious to see what you have, and then I'll give my thoughts.
Uh, I'm predicting Babylon at the moment. I don't feel confident in it just because since 2000 we've had four production design nominees that did not. I'm sorry, production design winners that did not win the cinematography. I'm sorry, get nominated for the cinematography category. I'm flubbing my words. So only four films since 2000 that have won this category without a cinematography nod. Return of the King. There was also Sweeney Todd, Alice in Wonderland, and The Great Gatsby. Um, and Babylon has won the Art Directors Guild. It won the BAFTA. It won Critics' Choice. Critics' Choice is a pretty good indicator of what's going to win production design. Like they gave it that year, it was a couple years ago to Black Panther. They gave it to Dune for production design before they started that whole sweep. So I think it's going to be Babylon. But if you're going to look out for any kind of spoiler, it's going to be Elvis. Just because, and we'll get to costumes in a little bit probably. Catherine Martin, whenever she wins the costume category, she also wins production design as well. Look to Moulin Rouge and The Great Gatsby. So my final prediction is Babylon.
I have Babylon myself. I think that it's one of these that, yeah. I mean, it's we've discussed it. They like films about Hollywood. Hollywood does that, so it's one of those things where, um, I think, yeah, I think Babylon. This, I think maybe it's only Oscar, or one of its
Yeah,
two. I don't see anything else really developing from this. Now you were talking about cinematography. Let's move to
yeah.
cinematography. So once again, All Quiet, Bardo, Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar. Who do you have in cinematography?
I struggled with this for months. So I think we're gonna nail this down to All Quiet and Elvis. I'm predicting All Quiet because since if I have my records here, I have it right here on a spreadsheet here actually, which is something I had to do for the show so I could compress everything. So since 2000, only seven films managed to win the Cinematography Guild, the American Society of Cinematographer, and lost the Oscar. Films like The Patriot, Seabiscuit, Very Long Engagement, White Ribbon, Skyfall, Lion, and Cold War. They won that and still lost the Oscar. There Will Be Blood was the only film since 2000 to win that category, to win the Cinematography Guild as its sole precursor win and win the Oscar. All Quiet feels like it could win as it beat Elvis at the BAFTAs and the British Society of Cinematographer Guilds. And recently with All Quiet, with the cinematography category, they've gone usually recently with the category win has been given out to the films that have blended practical elements like on-set lighting, shadows, etc. While dealing with extensive use of CG, such as set extensions, CG models. Think of like Blade Runner 2049, 1917, or Dune on a higher scale, or even on a smaller scale like Roma and Mank. They have set extensions as well using CG. And the other thing I found out last night was since 2009, 9 out of the 13 winners in this category had a visual effects nomination attached to their film. So stuff like, as I mentioned, Dune, Blade Runner, 1917, they managed to do that. And then only the four times in which the winners did not have a visual effects nod and won the category weren't competing against another film nominated for visual effects. Those films were Birdman, La La Land, Roma, and Mank. So while I'm predicting All Quiet on the Western Front to win, it's a war film. They do like their war films. I mean, we just saw BAFTA give it like what, 7 BAFTAs there.
Yeah,
I think it's possible for All Quiet to win here, but if you're gonna look out for any kind of spoiler, look out for Elvis. And the one note I'll say about Elvis is that if it doesn't win the category, then it just showed that Warner Brothers and the Elvis team just did a pretty bad job trying to get that narrative going that we thought that they could have, which was the first female cinematographer to win the category. I don't know if that's going to help much, especially when that happened like 2 days into voting, before voting ended, and when they gave out the cinematography guild, which All Quiet wasn't nominated at, they gave out that award like with 2 days voting left. So by that time, I think most of the votes have probably gotten in, maybe, or maybe all the votes came in at the last minute. We'll see. But like I haven't seen much
yeah,
campaigning on Warner Brothers' part to get her an Oscar. You've
Yeah.
seen him campaign the other categories, but I didn't see much here, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I have All Quiet too. I think war films are extremely, extremely difficult to make, and
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where it's they're just difficult to make, and so that's why I'm agreeing with you. I'm actually going with All Quiet on the Western Front myself. So
Watch out for
it's
Elvis, though.
yeah, no, and I would say that could very well sneak in. So let's move to best film editing. This one, I don't think for me, this is a no-brainer, but I wanna get your thoughts on it.
So, oops.
Go for it.
Um, I had to rewatch our video, and I'm still betting on Top Gun Maverick, but I feeling a little bit worried. We'll see what happens because I do think out of all the years we've had since uh when The Departed won, I think this is going to be the closest year we've ever had of a film nominated for. I'm sorry, a film winning the film editing category without a sound nomination. Um, yeah, it just feels like it's the closest that we're ever going to have to break that stat because since Born Ultimatum, every film editing winner in this category has also gotten a sound nomination. Everything Ever All at Once doesn't have one, but it managed to win at the Critics' Choice Award. It managed to win its own category at the American Cinema Editors Eddies category. It's the Editors Guild essentially,
Yeah.
but it won its own category of comedy, and it managed to win the BAFTA. But I like I'm still going with Top Gun Maverick because I still think there's enough room for or enough love from the Academy to give it something, to give it in this category. And realistically, it makes sense if you're predicting it for sound. I would think you're also predicting it for editing. Because if you're not predicting it to win the editing category, I would think realistically you're going to predict All Quiet for sound, not to jump the gun on that.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I think it's possible for Top Gun Maverick to win here. Although I really do think Everything Ever All at Once can win this category. Um, but yeah, we'll see what happens. And I've been burned before by predicting the non-sound nominee in this category before editing. I predicted Vice over Bohemian Rhapsody because it won the BAFTA, and I had predicted Chicago 7 over Sound of Metal because Chicago 7 won the Ace Eddie category, and I thought, well, if Chicago 7 were not, if they, split up the sound categories, Chicago 7 would have, won with the cakewalk. But I'm like, it didn't happen. They gave it to Sound of Metal, and last year I correctly predicted Dune. I was very stubborn about that. I'm a little bit stubborn about Top Gun Maverick, but I will admit this is the year that will be the closest that we will have that stat breaking of a a film editing winner also having a sound nomination. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
No, I like Top Gun. I like Top Gun Maverick. I mean, I could see everything everywhere all at once getting there. I mean, the amount of footage that they shot for Top Gun Maverick, I think was an insane, like 400 or 500 hours or whatever. But it's just when you're doing something like that, um, yeah, with these different cameras and everything else, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've seen it 3 times, 2 or 3 times,
I've seen it
and
for.
I still yeah, there you go. And so we've contributed the 700 nearly $700 million domestic, but I just can't get over how they were able to do it. And
Yeah.
especially some of those were done on one take. It was just like, okay. So, um, so yeah, I
And
have
I should
top
also mention I
No,
should
go
also
ahead.
mention real quick, not to cut you off, but the last time a comedy or musical category won in this category was all the way back with Chicago. So and that was kind of an undeniable like editing kind of winner, and it was a best picture winner front runner as well. So but yeah, it's like we'll see what happens tomorrow on Sunday. But I'm still predicting Maverick for the win, but I could be wrong. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. No, I think Maverick takes this. I don't think there's any real thing, but I could see everything getting
Okay.
in there. Okay, so moving on,
Your
we got
words,
best.
not mine.
Yep, absolutely. Best costume. Um, so we've got, as you can see, look. I like Elvis here. I like Elvis here, and I'll tell you, I think it's look. I've always said it's one thing to act a part. Okay, it's another thing to look the part. And I think with hair and makeup and costume, it goes hand in hand. I think that, and mind you, I could be totally wrong about this. So I think whoever wins, if Elvis wins here, I think they'll win costume. I just do, because it's
Wait.
one
Oh,
thing.
you mean makeup? You mean
Yeah,
if it wins
makeup and
makeup,
hair
it'll win
and
costumes?
yep.
Okay.
I think if it wins best makeup and hair, I think it's going to win best costume. And so, although I will say one thing, I will, you're worried about, I'm worried about this category too. Ruth Carter won for the original Black Panther. So immediately she has, an advantage over all the other nominees, even if they've been there before. So, because that's in
Sure.
everybody's recent mind. Um, but I'm sticking with Elvis.
The I'll stick with Elvis too, but I will say I don't know if Black Panther is going to win any Oscars because it's done really poorly at the guilds. Like the only thing that Ruth Carter has won amongst the precursors was Critics' Choice. She didn't win her category at the Costume Design Guild. She lost to Everything Ever All at Once, by the way. And Black Panther wasn't nominated at BAFTA. Same goes with I don't think Everything Ever All at Once was nominated at BAFTA either. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
but regardless, I'm still going with Elvis just because look, it's Catherine Martin. It's almost like sort of like a check mark off her name, and her winning the combo of BAFTA and the Guild usually doesn't make your chances bad. They actually make them pretty good. So yeah,
Yeah.
probably Elvis for
Yeah.
costume.
I'm gonna go with that. But I could see, like I said, I could see Black Panther getting in there, and I wouldn't be shocked or surprised. Um, so we go from best costume to best makeup. Best makeup. I think once again, these are like peanut butter and jelly. These are like,
Yep.
left hand and right hand. If Elvis wins one, it's gonna win the other one.
Probably, yeah. But I think Elvis is going to win makeup in this case because it's won the Critics' Choice Award. It won the BAFTA, which Isaac Tammy Faye managed to win last year for makeup um, at the BAFTAs and still won the Oscar. It won the 2 Guild categories it was up for. It did lose special makeup effects to The Whale, but The Whale hasn't really picked up much steam. And I really think that like voters are just going to be lazy and go with the Best Picture nominee and just say let's give it Elvis, because of the makeup, prosthetics, and Tom Hanks's goopy Razzie Award performance
yeah, which
face.
we were just
So
talking off camera that
yeah,
this is what you were saying. This was the third time he was nominated for that. The first
so
time,
this is the first time he was nominated at the Razzies, and he got like 3 nominations there, and I'm so happy he won for the first, at least for Elvis, because man, he was really bad in Elvis. And I usually like Tom Hanks. I think he's a very good actor. Not like one of the greatest of all time, but like he can be really good and charming. But I just did not like the performance he gave for Elvis. And as someone pointed out, there's like archive footage and recordings of the actual Colonel Parker who did not sound exactly like what Tom Hanks did. And I get it. It's like Baz Luhrmann's like, it's my style. I want to do
well,
whatever I
speaking
want.
of,
Okay,
I mean,
but
that's
come
been
on.
a big thing. That I don't really care about it, to be absolutely honest. But you have Austin Butler, who's been talking like this for a while.
Like
Does that bother
Elvis.
you at all?
No,
Or
not really. I'm just like, like if anything, it's gonna make him. If like anything, it might stick him in like a pigeonhole. Like, oh, he's the guy who played Elvis, and and it does. I will say the one thing that's sort of a benefit, but also a curse too, is that by bringing up the like, oh, he's using the damn Elvis voice. It's like everyone kept talking about the goddamn teeth for Rami Malek's, chompers with Bohemian Rhapsody. And then, oh, come on, really? Seriously, it was
yeah,
like over the top. Like, come on.
yeah. No, I know.
I know he had big teeth, but come on. And then even with like Nicole Kidman's nose and the hours, it's like it's just something that everyone's gonna bring up, and it's like that's why said actor is gonna be probably winning the Oscars because everyone can't stop talking about the fucking voice. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah. I mean,
but yeah, go
we'll
back
see.
to makeup because
No,
we're
yeah,
sidetracking everything so
yeah, yeah,
far.
yeah. No, so
But yeah, makeup's
like I
gonna go to
said,
Elvis.
yeah. So I have it going to Elvis. I'll be curious to see. Last thing I'll say is I'll be curious to see what he sounds like in Dune 2.
I hear he's completely different from what he's done in Elvis, but we'll see
So,
what happens.
yeah. Okay, so I want to touch upon a couple. I don't have the slides here, but I think, and the reason I don't is because I think that I don't like to use the word locks, but momentum's really carried them, and that's best original song. I have RRR winning this. What about you?
Yep, it's gonna win.
It,
It's got the Golden Globe. It got Critics' Choice. The biggest hurdle it needed was the nomination, and it's gonna win it. Hold My Hand and Lift Me Up. While there are some catchy tunes, they're not gonna win the Academy Award. Um, so yeah, it's
yeah.
RRR, not to.
Um, best original score. Um,
This
I'm
is not
still.
a lock, sir. I
Yeah,
don't know
no,
what
no,
the
no,
hell you're
no, no.
talking
I don't
about.
know. I definitely. This is what I was gonna say. I don't like. I'm still on the fence about this one. I don't know. I mean,
Um,
I'm thinking All Quiet, but I mean, this to me, this is a coin flip.
between All Quiet and what else?
Well, I would say John Williams and for the Fablemans. Maybe this is the one.
He's not
And
happening. No.
no, I know, but I mean, look in that's the narrative, right? He's because he's not retiring. I get it, but at the same time, he's 91, 92 years old, and I understand he's
They
got
don't
5
give.
Oscars,
Yeah, he's got 5
52
Oscars, but
nominations. I get it,
yeah.
but still, who are
The
you
last
going with?
the last win that John Williams had, I'll just say this right now. The last win that John Williams had was Schindler's List, and that was like a Best Picture
30
like
years ago.
front runner and a sweep. Yeah, exactly. So it's like they're
Yeah.
not going to give Fablemans an Oscar for that category. It's probably going to go empty-handed. I think the race could be down to possibly 3. Babylon, I think, is might be on the table because it got the Golden Globe win, but it's like 3rd place. I'm predicting it. I'm predicting my runner-up to go to Everything Ever All at Once, just because it is a Best Picture frontrunner. It might win some below the line categories. It might upset in some things. Editing, we already mentioned one of them. Score could be another one too. I think Matt Naglia said somewhere online that if you're a Best Picture winner and you're nominated for score and song, they typically win the score category. And while I agree with that, it's a very small sample size too. So that stat could break with ease. We'll find out. I'm just gonna go with All Quiet on the Western Front. I know it does. I don't feel confident in this. I don't even feel confident in predicting Everything Ever All at Once, just because I don't remember much of the score. Then again, I could say the same thing about All Quiet, but everyone remembers the bum 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 or whatever it was. And then well, yeah. So I'll just list off some of my reasons real quick for why I'm predicting All Quiet. It won the BAFTA, and the BAFTAs have been right in this category since Gravity. 2018 doesn't count in my mind, as A Star Is Born managed to beat out, because the BAFTAs, they don't nominate their films by like score; they nominate by original music overall. That's how something like Skyfall was able to win the category over the other nominees there like, a couple of years ago, because it was like a front runner to win song, so that made sense. But Stars Born managed to beat out the 4 nominees at the BAFTAs that were nominated at the Oscars that year, which were If Beale Street Could Talk, Black Klansman, Mary Poppins Returns, Isle of Dogs, and Black Panther managed to beat all of them out at the Oscars. So yeah, so I'm just going with the BAFTA winner. On top of that, every winner in this category for score since La La Land had a sound nomination attached to their film. And it's really tough for a non-Best Picture nominee to win in a field of 4 Best Picture nominated films. I've only gone back as far as 1991, where Beauty and the Beast managed to beat out The Fisher King. And there were a couple other Best Picture nominees. I think it was like JFK was one of them, and The Prince of Tides, I think it was. But yeah, I'm just gonna go All Quiet. I don't feel comfortable with it, but there could be a chance that Everything Ever All at Once does surprise here. But I'm just gonna go with All Quiet, just because, like I said, we're in such a divided year with Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, and BAFTA going their own ways, that I feel like the BAFTA and the other stats I mentioned are just more reliable and helpful for me. And again, like what you said with The Voice with Elvis, it's like everyone keeps talking about the All Quiet score, about how either bombastically ridiculous it is or how forgettable it is, and makes me want to praise Thomas Newman a little bit more than what he did on 1917, which I thought was like one of the few scores Thomas Newman did really well. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with All Quiet. I don't know if Babylon's gonna really upset, especially with Matt Naglia had said he talked with some anonymous voters, and they all apparently hate Babylon. They like despise it for their own reasons. And the same voters that he talked with said we're actually all going in on All Quiet for score. And I'm like, ooh, okay. And again, I should preference we should take these anonymous ballots with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because last year, I don't know about you, David, but I know a lot of my friends and colleagues were very much on the Penelope Cruz hype train at the last minute because of those ballots. I wasn't, just because I didn't see much momentum there for her, and I just thought, screw it, I'll just predict Jessica Chastain that year. So
Yeah.
take these anonymous ballots with like a grain of salt, but that's what I've been told about Babylon. Is apparently the voters hate it, and some of them are going for All Quiet. So we shall find out. But yeah, final answer, All Quiet.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move to best original screenplay. I think that this is it's not interesting. I have let's see, who do I have? Best original screenplay. I have Everything Everywhere All at Once. I have it. So this is one
Good
of the
boy.
5 um this is one of the I think that one of the 5 Oscars it's going to win. Okay.
Yep.
I have it best picture, best actress, best supporting actor, best original screenplay, and best director.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Everything Ever All at Once is going to win this category. It needed the Writers Guild, which it got, which was sound enough. In fact, someone said on Twitter, I don't know who said this, but this would be like the second time that Martin McDonagh lost the original screenplay category to the like genre based, or like mind bending kind of movie that's pushing the genre in a new direction or an interesting direction, so to speak. And I was like, wow, that's really funny.
Yeah. I hadn't even considered that, but yeah. Yeah, so I
And
think everything. No, go ahead.
the other thing too that helped that hurt Banshees more than Everything Everywhere was the fact that Banshees couldn't even win Critics' Choice, and Everything Ever All at Once did, along with that Writers Guild win. If Everything Ever All at Once was only able to win the Critics' Choice Award and not the Writers Guild, then I'd go back to Banshees. But it managed to win both, and while this one isn't as controversial as or as polarizing as Three Billboards was, Banshees only won the BAFTA and Golden Globes. Um, so I really do think that Everything Ever All at Once is going to win the Oscar, and it'll be the first of 3 Oscars for the Daniels.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
congratulations, guys.
yeah. So from best original, we moved to best adapted. All Quiet, Glass Onion, Living, Top Gun, Maverick, Women Talking. I've heard a
Yep.
lot of people say they want Sarah Polley to win this. Um,
Yep,
I'll be honest. So you have Women Talking.
I do. Yes.
Okay, I'm off.
Yeah.
I'm off the rails here. I got Glass
Yeah.
Onion.
I'm sorry.
I've got Glass Onion.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's totally out there. I
taking
know that.
some bold risks.
Yeah, I rolled the dice here.
Yeah.
I
You're rolling your dice to snake eyes, buddy.
yeah. So that one's probably not gonna come up well. I mean, yeah. So I think it
The
would be
the the
interesting.
thing about Women Talking though is that oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say the thing about Women Talking, why I'm predicting it, is that it won the Writers Guild, it won Critics' Choice, it won the USC, the University of Southern California Scripter Awards. It's essentially California University have their own award shows, and they give these like Scripter Awards to like film and television. And while USC Scripter hasn't been accurate since like Call Me by Your Name, the fact that it won Writers Guild for Women Talking and not anything else winning that makes me think like, okay, it's going to happen probably for Women Talking. It has a SAG nomination for cast ensemble. No film since the SAG Awards started has won the adapted screenplay category without any kind of SAG support. I will say, be on the lookout for All Quiet on the Western Front, as while it did win the BAFTA, which Women Talking wasn't there nominated for some reason. It did have more nominations overall than Women Talking. And on top of that, it's been common for a film to win only BAFTA and then go on to win the adapted screenplay Oscar. More recently, stuff like The Father and Black Klansman managed to do that. But I don't know if they're going to go for a remake in this category. I think, because the original 1930s version was nominated for adapted and still lost. So I think women talking is probably going to take this, in a weak category. Um, I really do think it's just gonna be down to all quiet and women talking, and the others just like, yeah, just we're happy to be here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. Now the fun. Let's get to the really fun stuff that everybody's talking about. So the first category we're going to do here, I think we can both agree with. I mean, lock. Once again, I don't like to use the word lock, but I mean, best supporting actor. I know. I said the other day on Twitter, if Ki Kwan doesn't win the Academy Award, there needs to be an investigation. um,
I have Judd
I
Hirsch. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
No, 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 no.
there
It's
you
it's
go.
Quan.
Brendan Gleeson.
It's Quan. We can move on. We can move on. It's
No,
Quan. All right.
actually, I don't know who. Yeah, so I mean, it's Kiwi Kwan all day long.
Yeah,
I don't
we
think
got it.
there's any. I think he's just doing his acceptance speech at this point. So
BAFTA was a speed bump. That's all that
yeah,
was. It just showed that the BAFTAs loved Banshees a lot more, and yeah, like
yeah,
he's like a potential runner up, but that's it. So,
yeah.
anyways.
Okay, so this is the one that's going to start to be a little more interesting than that one. Best
Oh boy.
supporting actress. He's rubbing his hands. Excellent.
Yes. Yeah, let me
So
put my mic down. Hold on, real quick. Hold on.
yeah. Yeah, so,
All right.
um, I still I'm going I know it's not the popular decision. I'm going with Angela Bassett. I
Ooh.
know. This is the second one of my, outlandish
Ugh.
picks possibly, but I see Angela Bassett winning this. Who do you got?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
well, I
have
know who you have, but tell the viewers who you got.
I have Carrie Condon. For those of you who weren't on the SAG reactions, I'll be repeating myself in some of these acting categories.
Yes.
So in a divided year of supporting actress this year, Condon won the BAFTA, and four other winners in this category won only BAFTA of its main precursors and translated to an Oscar. I went as far back as like 1996, I think. Yeah, it was like 1996, 1995. I went as far back as that because that's when we had SAG, Critics' Choice, and Golden Globe there. Granted, English Patient, Juliette Binoche won. She won the BAFTA after she won the Oscar. And I think was it like Shakespeare in Love? That was the first year where BAFTA became like a main precursor and came before the Oscars. But it was like Juliette Binoche for English Patient, Judi Dench for Shakespeare in Love, Michael Clayton, Tilda Swinton, and Vicky Cristina Barcelona for Penelope Cruz. She did win the Spirit Award that year for Vicky Cristina, but of like her main precursors that are like voted on by the actual voters of the Academy, BAFTA was the one that she won. I can see a lot of arguments for Curtis as she did win SAG, but the last person to win only SAG and then translate to a win in the overall acting categories was Morgan Freeman in Million Dollar Baby. We've seen supporting actress nominees win only SAG here and not win their Oscars. Think of like Gloria Stewart in Titanic. Gloria Stewart in Titanic, who was tied with Kim Basinger in LA Confidential. Judi Dench in Chocolat. Gosford Park, Helen Mirren. American Gangster, Ruby Dee. And then the 2018 year, SAG just said, fuck it, whatever. We're going to do what we want. A Quiet Place, Emily Blunt. And it's only four people overall have managed to win just SAG and then the Oscar. And there's like, I want to say close to like 11 or 12-ish people who've won only SAG as their main precursor prize and didn't win the Oscar. So recent examples would be like Viola Davis and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Denzel Washington in Fences. I'm trying to think of another one on the top of my head. Those are the only two I can think of recently.
Yeah, no,
but
well,
but there's other but yeah. So there is a chance that Curtis could win this year. I don't know though. We'll see. I'm still going with Condon, and I will say in terms of I got a couple more things I'll say, and then we can move on to the next categories. Angela Bassett can upset here, as Regina King did win Critics' Choice and Golden Globe, and went on to win the Oscar despite not being nominated for SAG and BAFTA. But I don't know. Bassett just feels a little bit more like Sylvester Stallone this year, where Stallone lost to the BAFTA winner. Sorry to sting the wound, but he lost to the BAFTA winner that year, which was Mark Rylance in Bridge of Spies, and was also a year in a divided field. And ironically enough, while Mark Ruffalo didn't win the Oscar that year or wasn't even nominated at SAG, the Academy Awards just said, we're not even going to go with the SAG winner of your Best Picture frontrunner spotlight. We're going to go with A Bridge of Spies, Mark Rylance, for the category. So yeah, they might do that this year with Condon and say, like, you know what, we're still going to go with the BAFTA winner, Carrie Condon. And since Patricia Arquette won for Boyhood in this category, it's been labeled as the like lone win for said film. And we've had two films. It is possible for three acting winners for the same film to happen, but it's only happened twice, which were Network and A Streetcar Named Desire, and they both lost Best Picture. I'm not doubting it for sure, but it's a stat I can't ignore.
Yeah,
So
no,
I'm still predicting Carrie Condon and
yeah,
not Curtis. So
yeah,
sorry.
no, yeah, it's I look the fact that Black Panther: Wakanda Forever didn't even get a Best Picture nomination didn't
Yep.
help matters. It's just and it's momentum and it's
And she's not
everything
even a
else.
sweep too.
Yeah, so there's a lot. I like going against the odds. I like doing things the hard way. So
I
I
mean, we did
mean,
that with film editing too, because everyone's predicting everything everywhere all at once for editing, and we're
yeah,
just like, I gotta stick with Top Gun, even if the ship is sinking,
yeah, yep. Okay, let's move on to another interesting. I mean, I won't say interesting, but top five category: Best Actress. I think for me, this is Michelle Yeoh. I have Michelle Yeoh winning. I have this, as I said earlier in the show, that this would be the first time in almost 30 years. This would be the closest you could get to the Big Five and not get it with Silence of the Lambs
Yeah,
back in 1992. I mean,
yeah.
I have Michelle winning with this.
Michelle Yeoh.
I'm sorry, yeah, Michelle Yeoh. I keep forgetting Michelle. That was a whole other. That was a whole
There's two.
other
Yeah,
thing. That's a
and
whole other can of
when
worms for another show. That
when
how Michelle
yeah
Williams did that, but yes, it is Michelle Yeoh. I have winning the Oscar.
when they if they read off Michelle Yeoh's name,
That's
we
gonna
need
be
everyone to
the
calm
biggest
the fuck down.
fuck up.
We need to wait. It was almost like the year of like sound mixing. They're like, oh yeah, and the Oscar goes to Christopher Boyes because he was nominated for Lord of the Rings and Pirates. So like,
Oh
wait
yeah,
for it, wait for the second name.
yeah,
Okay, there we go. They
yeah,
won the
yeah,
category.
yeah.
So I so after SAG predictions or after the SAG results came out, I said I needed to wait until the last day or two to figure out who I'm predicting. It took me less than 48 hours to do that. And I have to thank, I want to give a shout out to Zoe Byron. I think I'm pronouncing her name right, her last name right. But I need to shout her out for retweeting my tweet about my reasoning and commenting of why I switched to Yo after the SAG results. A lot of them is the fact that, and Josh Parham from Next Best Picture podcast, I'm dropping a lot of names here,
Yeah,
but
that's
Josh has been, if you ever look on his predictions since 2017 when he joined the site, he has gotten best actress right since he joined. He predicted the Olivia Colman upset. He also predicted the Frances McDormand upset too.
wow.
And I just think that with neither Blanchett or Yo in a biopic performance, I think it's going to help Michelle Yeoh win the Academy Award because she's in a stronger film. And I keep getting reminded of like Anthony Hopkins winning for The Father over Chadwick Boseman. Hopkins was in a stronger film. I don't know a whole lot of people predicted this other upset to happen, but I know one person did. Adrian Brody won for The Pianist, and he won over Daniel Day Lewis for Gangs of New York, which was a huge upset that year for lead actor. Um, but yeah, and the combo of a Golden Globe winner and a BAFTA winner winning lead actress may be gone after Frances McDormand and Jessica Chastain recently managed to win without that combo. And right after SAG, as I mentioned, there's been huge momentum for Yo and her film compared to Blanchett's. And like seriously, like Jamie Lee Curtis wanted to make sure in her speech that everyone remembered Michelle Yeoh's name. They did a whole chant like a rock star concert, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my god. And then I see her speech, and how much SAG loves that film so much. So there's a really good chance that Michelle Yeoh could win the Academy Award for the lead actress category. It would be awesome. If it doesn't, I think it's gonna be Kate Blanchett. But I've again, take this with a grain of salt, but from some of the anonymous ballots I've heard, not everyone and the voting academy is on board with Tar. Like, I heard one mention it was very pretentious, one didn't understand what was the point of the film, even though Kate Blanchett was really good in it. And the other thing too is, like, I think most of them from the anonymous ballots have voted for Michelle Yeoh. But again, take that with a grain of salt. So I'm still predicting Michelle Yeoh just for the momentum. You're on mute.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, it's just one of those things where momentum is now carrying them. I think this is Michelle Yeoh's year. Um, so, okay, moving on. We've got, and we'll go back and we'll do that one in a minute. So, best actor, and it is a
Okay.
three horse race. Um, really
Suck
two,
it, Bill
but
and Paul.
exactly, it's really a three horse race. But I like Colin Farrell, but I got him in third place. This one is for me. I got Austin Butler. I got Elvis. That's just
Yeah,
me. I mean,
I'm predicting Austin Butler too. Although I actually have Colin Farrell. I think I had Colin Farrell in my second place prediction since
mhm,
the nominations came out, just because he's in a Best Picture nominee. And again, once again, I got a preference. Take it with a grain of salt. I have heard people with connections to the anonymous ballots. A good chunk of them have been voting for Colin Farrell. If he manages to win this, and that's a big if he manages to win this category at the Oscars, he would be the first person since Sean Penn and Mystic River to win only the Golden Globe as his as his sole precursor win and get the Oscar. That hasn't happened since
that was
then.
'03,
So
I think, right?
I'm sorry.
03, 03, 04, right around there.
Oh, what do
Mystic
you mean?
River. Mystic River.
2003 it came out.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, yeah, so it would have competed the year that Return of the King won picture.
Hmm.
But that year made sense. It was Sean Penn's time. It was on his like what fourth or fifth nomination that year, and he was in a
Hmm.
Best Picture nominee. But I'm predicting Austin Butler. I see the reasons for Brendan Fraser could upset, but as I said in our prediction at the nomination reaction video, this race is reminding me way too much of what happened with The Father, where the sentimental favorite doesn't win the Oscar, even though they won SAG and Critics' Choice. I don't know if Fraser. I don't think personally Fraser's going to move on to win the lead acting Oscar. That's just me. And Butler's film is already winning in two other categories, probably costume and makeup. So I'm predicting Austin Butler, but like I said, we got to watch out for Farrell maybe. Um, if the ballots are right, that is, and that's going to be a really, really, really big upset if that happens.
Yeah.
If Colin Farrell manages to win.
Yeah. The the thing is, Brendan Fraser has a narrative.
He does.
I mean, he has the narrative, and I don't know how much narrative means to you, and but that's a big thing. I mean, he won Critics' Choice, and he's just the whole relationship between Kiwi and him, and he hasn't been. This is the first time he's been back in several years, and
Sure.
I don't know.
But we also got to remember
He's
too,
a
this
sentimental favorite, I would say.
yeah. And we got to remember this too. Remember years ago they gave some of us, I wasn't predicting at the time, but some of us online thought Mickey Rourke was going to win for The Wrestler. He was a very sentimental favorite too. This was like his comeback role, so to speak, and he lost to the biopic performance, which was a Best Picture nominee, which was Sean Penn in Milk. Um, yeah, it's just like the Academy's just going to keep going for the biopic performances. They might do it next year. I'm gonna zip my lips on that.
Hmm.
I don't want to say what it is. I'm waiting until the right time to say what it is, but we'll cross that bridge when
Yeah,
we get there in like a few
yeah,
months. So yeah.
yeah. I
Anyways,
can't wait. So,
oh
just
man,
a quick recap. I mean, we both are in agreement here. Everything, everywhere, all in once walks away as the top prize of the night. So, um, I have it as
and
I
the
said. I
Academy
have
is
it.
and
Oh,
you go ahead. No,
uh,
no, keep going, keep going.
no, I was just gonna say. I think this is one of five Oscars, and I mean, this is the close. It's gonna. As I said, This is the close. If my projections pan out the way that I hope they will, this will be the first time this will get as close as it can to having a Big Five winner since Silence of the
I was
Lambs 37 something years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say the categories I'm predicting, because I'm predicting the same five: picture, director, screenplay, and the two acting wins for
Mhm.
Yo and Kwan. Um, it's funny because I it's funny, yeah, because if it does win those five only, then it'll be the first time since Terms of Endearment that it happened. Because although that competed in the adapted screenplay excuse me, category that year and not original. Um, yeah, but yeah, no, the picture is gonna go to Everything Ever All at Once. Like it won the PGA prize, DGA, and SAG, as we said earlier. Um,
Remind me real quick, what we I know we discussed this on that other show. Remind me real quick of what your thoughts are of the 10 nominee nominees. Do you
s-
remind me if it was too many or too few? Or I mean, as I said, I
um,
think seven was the right number. Remind me where you were standing on this, Matthew.
so in terms of like the films they chose,
Yeah, no,
or the
not
films
not
that will go
shows
home with something.
the number of
Oh,
films.
of the films that they're gonna give an Oscar to.
Right, 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 right.
Um, so as of right now, I am predicting everything to go home with at least one Oscar, except three films: The
Oh wow.
Fablemans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. Triangle of Sadness, I always predicted to go home empty handed the moment it got nominated for picture, just because its strengths are in screenplay and director, and that's all it got. And we just saw Licorice Pizza last year get those three and lost miserably. Don't remind me of that unfortunate event. Um, Fablemans, I've always predicted also as like a possible, like, this could go home empty handed kind of film. Um, yeah, it just seems like that could be the case with Fablemans, because it's not really going to win in any of the like production design category. It's not winning. I don't think it's winning score. Michelle Williams isn't winning the category. If she weren't supporting, it could have stood a chance there maybe, but I don't know. But
Yeah.
the um the other one I also want to say was Tar. I think is the other one that could go home empty handed, just because that's a movie that I remember thinking to myself, and again, I want to shout out to Zoe. If you haven't gotten a chance to read her article she did back in October on Bad Girl performances rarely winning, and she talked about how there's a really strong case for a strong case against Michelle Kate Blanchett, in that she's playing sort of this like bossy, bitchy type character, who's very cold, and the Academy is usually not a fan of those kind of performances coming from women, but for men it's okay, like Daniel Day Lewis and There Will Be Blood, although that was a fucking fantastic performance, I think, and Tar as well. Kate Blanchett's really great in that, in Tar, but yeah, I don't know. I really think that the Tar might go home empty-handed, and the fact that it hasn't won a single guild except for like Set Decorators Guild, which was tied with Top Gun Maverick at the contemporary awards, but it hasn't won, like, it didn't win the DGA prize, PGA, Writers Guild, SAG, Editors Guild, like I don't even I just yeah I really think Tara's gonna go home empty handed. I think of the other films that are in potential of also being in danger of going home empty handed, Banshees is a possibility if they don't give it anything for like lead actor or supporting actress. Top Gun Maverick, if they decide, let's not give that editing and sound. It's a possibility that a lot of people are playing around with the idea. I see their cases for it, but I'm still on the sinking. I'm on the Titanic with that film. So if it goes down, if the stat breaks, I'm going down with it. Um, there was another one. Women Talking could be another one that could go home empty handed if it doesn't win the adapted screenplay category. But the other Best Picture nominees, uh, Avatar, All Quiet, Elvis, and Everything Ever All at Once, they're definitely winning Oscars.
Yeah, I
They're at
mean,
least winning in one category. Like even if All Quiet doesn't win cinematography and score, it's automatically going to win international
oh
film,
yeah, yeah. So
because just
that's the fallback.
just because of the voter branch. When you're voting on the winners, they have now allowed the entire public, everyone in the Academy members, to vote on international film. They didn't have that a while ago. I can't remember when it was. Eric Anderson might know what it is, or
Mhm.
someone. But because I remember that was part of the reason why Pan's Labyrinth and Amelie didn't win in their categories for international film or foreign language film, as it was called, because it was only voted on by the branch. It wasn't voted on by the whole members. That's why we had like Drive My Car, and that's why we had what was the other one? Another Round and Parasite able to win, I think, was because they expanded the branch.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so I think it's gonna be I think All Quiet's gonna win an Oscar, and we already mentioned about Avatar, so
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean,
Everything
Avatar
Everyone
is.
Wants is winning picture.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Avatar is a lock for best visual effects. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the only thing that's going to win. Um,
Yep.
so I mean, some of these, I think you said it right. There are a few films here that are probably going to go empty-handed. So, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. So real quick, what films? Tell me some films besides the unnamed property, which we'll talk about at another time. Give me some other
Yeah.
films that you are excited or looking forward to in down the road. Because right after Sunday, we're gonna start this whole thing over again on Monday.
Well, I'm gonna wait until like either the trailer drops for said film or until like late summer, and I'll start showing my Oscar predictions. But as far as like films overall that I'm looking forward to
Mhm,
or I'm curious about, obviously the said film that we talked about.
mhm.
There's Evil Dead Rise. I'm a little bit curious about. It's playing at South by Southwest apparently soon, and we'll find out what the reactions are, if they're good or if they're any good. Then I'll check that out next month. What else was there?
I
Fast 10. I'm excited for. I'm fucking pumped, man. I'm
Nice,
excited. You
nice.
know I saw the trailer for that in front of Creed 3 the other night, and
Oh,
and
nice.
my brother finally saw the trailer and he's watching. He's like, "What the fuck?" And I'm laughing my ass off, and seeing him watch the trailer for the first time, not noticing like the like Dom flies out of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
plane and onto the
yeah,
cars. So yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. Mission Impossible this summer as well.
yeah,
We got Dune coming out later this year.
yeah.
Crossing fingers
We
on
gotta.
that if that comes out. If Scorsese finishes up on time, Killer of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, I
Trying to
mean,
think of
there
other
is a
ones.
lot of stuff. Like
Oh
you
yeah,
named a couple, but there is a lot of stuff like that is that's really um it's it's gonna be really good. I think that it's gonna be a lot of fun, and it's one of those things where um it's g- the box office is gonna make a lot of money this year. That's for sure. Because
yeah. Let's hope.
yeah, so it's I mean, not only what you were talking about, you've got I think the 3 that I'm really looking forward to are Oppenheimer, Dune, and, Mission Impossible. Can you tell where I'm skewing to? I mean, it's one of
Yeah,
those things where, um, yeah, it's those are the ones that are Guardians is gonna be huge.
yeah.
Um,
That'll be interesting.
yeah, that's gonna be really interesting to see. Somebody was saying the other day, I said, um, what was some of the films that you were looking forward to? And, I said, they said, "Well, maybe, just hypothetically, maybe Guardians of the Galaxy gets a, Best Picture nomination." I went,
No, it's not
"No,
gonna
I know, I
happen. Come
know, I
on.
know." I went,
Come
"Well,
on.
they could dream, right? Black Panther got it, but nonetheless,
Yeah, but
so
that's a different scenario. Yeah.
yeah, no, of course. Transformers coming out in June's gonna be stacked though. Seriously, we got Across the Spider Verse coming out. We got
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Transformers, Rise of the Beast, which I'm done with, but I'll go to see because this is, I
You have
think, the
fun.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. That will be the one I go to see in lieu of Fast 10. Uh,
Ugh,
no, but in all honesty, this is probably gonna be the most interesting film coming out in The Flash,
Flash.
just because of not because I'm a huge comic book guy, but because in all honesty, it's one of those things where there's been so much bullshit about this movie over the years, and everything
Yeah.
that's happened, and the budget, and what are they gonna do, and how are they gonna and they're gonna rip it apart, and, so it's gone through so many changes, it just needs to finally get out. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be the one, and then I mean, I'm gonna go see this and have fun with it. $297 million. for a budget for this movie. Indiana
Uh,
Jones. I think he's like 82 years old, Harrison Ford. But
yeah.
that's gonna be fun. Um, but the one we were talking about, Mission Impossible, this is gonna be. I originally thought this was gonna make $200 million opening weekend, and I went,
It's not going to be that big.
"Yeah, it's not because of all these other films that I just put out there. That's gonna really take away from some of that, even if it's so big." But that is one Oppenheimer for sure. I'm really, really looking forward to. I mean, yeah, it's Christopher Nolan, but this has
Could
been
be an awards player for next year. We don't know yet.
yeah.
We'll see.
So we'll see.
Um,
But
I also want to say before we wrap up, because I,
yeah,
I know we're gonna be wrapping up pretty soon. I'll just
yeah,
go over real quick who my predictions are in some of the other categories we didn't get to.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, so sound, I know we talked a little bit about it. Like I said, I'm going with Top Gun Maverick. All Quiet on the Western Front's a possible runner up because it won the BAFTA award. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is going to be that's locked in for
That's a
animated
lock.
feature. Anyone saying otherwise, I don't know what you're doing with your predictions.
Yeah,
And then I already talked about international film going to All Quiet on the Western Front. Documentary is a bit of a coin flip, I will say. It could go to Fire of Love, but I'm just going to predict Navalny just because it is a very political documentary. I've been told it's like a crowd pleasing film that it apparently is like a essentially like a big fuck you to Putin um, with what's going on there. I've been told that
yeah,
these are my sources. I could totally be wrong, but
yeah.
yeah, it's just like so there's that. And then for the short categories, I'm just going to predict Ice Merchants for animated short, documentary short. I'm going to predict apparently what is being called the worst one of the lineup, Stranger at the Gate. Which I'll have to tell you on off air what that's what the premise of that is all about. And then live action short, I'm predicting the Red Suitcase.
Cool.
When I predict these shorts, just to let everyone know, I don't predict them with any kind of like strategy like I do with some of these categories. I just based it off of like what's the reception, what's in the possible running, things like that. And I asked them, like what's a very like timely or very political kind of movie, or I don't know, maybe something that speaks to Academy voters, like because we had a couple years ago, we had like live action short going to like Two Distant Strangers, which is essentially Groundhog Day for a black guy getting assaulted and killed by a racist cop, and he has to relive his day like Groundhog Day, and it's like that one live action short. Are you fucking serious?
I still
So
like one of the films I just saw a couple months ago, like that, so not out there. That's not the right term, but like in your face was Get Out, and I can see
which
why
is
Jordan,
really good. It
which
handles
is
race really
really,
well.
I was like, I mean, it's so good. It's
Yeah,
and the
but
problem is when you're Jordan Peele and you make this amazing movie, everything else, and granted, he's only done 2 feature films, Us and Nope,
three
but they're
actually.
gonna well, what is it? Well, yeah, other
Nope.
than yeah, us well, 3 total.
Oh, okay. You're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
two
yeah.
after. Got it.
Right,
All right. I see what you
exactly.
mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, it's already being compared because it's like, this is so good that everything is gonna be compared, and so, no, I loved Get Out. It's just, he's an amazing I mean, I could see him winning another screenwriting Oscar down the road. I really could. But,
If he has like a film that the Academy loves because they didn't care for Us and they did not care for Nope.
well, now he knows.
So, yeah.
Now he knows. So, it's gonna be one
And
of those
honestly,
things.
if all he wants to do is just stuff like Twilight Zone like movies for the rest of his career, he's
That's
earned it.
cool.
Like he's
Absolutely.
had like 3 really good movies so far. At least I haven't seen Us and Nope since the theaters, but I remembered liking them a good amount. So
Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay, so tomorrow's the big day, and, I'll be curious. I've got my little notepad here to see how well I do, and I'm sure you're gonna do very well. And then once the Oscars is over, we're gonna start this thing all over again with all these films.
yeah,
So that's fantastic. I wanna thank Matthew for coming on, and, we'll definitely get
yeah,
him on maybe down the road, not on Monday, but maybe, next week or if times can be arranged, we will get on for
yeah.
a post-Oscar, um, show. But I am, guys, after the Oscars are over, stay tuned. I am gonna come back talk about the event winners and see if I got any upsets right and all that good stuff. So, okay,
Yeah. And
so
one last note I
go
want to make for
go for
everyone
it.
out there, including myself, I'm going to say right now, anyone that gets these like up in the air categories, right? Like the acting categories, and say, I got it. I told you from the beginning. You didn't. You got extremely lucky. You did a good. You did your best guessing, but there's no way that you actually like said, "Oh, I totally got it." Like
No.
even with me, even if I get like Carrie Condon or editing right for Top Gun Maverick, it's not going to be a case of "Holy shit, I called it." It's more of a "I can't believe I got that right."
Well, that goes
Um.
into a whole other
So
thing. I mean, do you think, and we'll talk about this at another time or off air, but do you think there are too many precursors? Like, there's so many
no, no,
different. I mean, look, I,
no.
I understand the globes, but do
Mhm.
you think there are so many that it's just like,
I I've been fine with the precursors we've had with like Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, BAFTA, and SAG.
mhm,
I'm fine with those actually. It's just excuse me, it's when they're divided is
mhm.
when it's like, okay, come on, someone give me a lifeline. Someone give me like someone at least be like a Quan where it's like you only miss BAFTA. It's like I need something. But this year, but I will say it is a little fun to predict
Oh, I love it.
in a year where like 3 of the 4 acting categories are not like guaranteed locks. Even Quan isn't a guaranteed lock. He's just more like 85%
He's a
lock.
favorite.
Just just because he missed BAFTA, that was like a speed bump for him. Um, but I will say this though, if he manages to lose Sunday, which I somewhat doubted, but if he loses,
That would be the
wow,
set.
we're going to be
That
in
would
for a big
be
upset.
that would be the second worst loss next to Rylance winning for Creed in 2015. And ironically, it would be the
Rubbing
same
that salt in
category.
the wound, huh?
No, well, not only that, Matthew, it would be the same category.
Yeah.
So, I
But
mean
yeah, that's true. Yeah, holy
I
shit.
mean,
Damn.
but nonetheless,
Well,
we'll see.
at least Quan got nominated and won SAG, okay?
Yeah,
And he's in a Best Picture frontrunner. So
yeah,
Stallone never
exactly.
had that for Creed.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Take care of yourself. Be safe. Have a great day. He's Matthew. I'm David, and we are Real Talks. Take care, guys.